And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beans Talk.
You bet. The energy is terrific in the gym. It is your pre-Super Bowl podcast, although everyone will be listening to this post-Super Bowl, but we're recording it pre-Super Bowl. So
Wish it was during.
It's your pre-post-game pod. You're welcome. Yeah. How excited are you for the game, Riles?
None at all.
None
None at all. I would rather, goot my eyeballs out and be blind.
Sure.
Than watch that.
Just don't watch it. Keep your eyes.
I'm not going
You have beautiful eyes. Keep them.
It sounds like a great thing. So I'm super excited to not watch that game. So why can't we have Bengals and Rams again? That was fun for me.
That was
the last fun Super Bowl.
That was and always will be such a random Super Bowl pairing. And I'm not saying neither of those teams were good. They obviously were. They deserved to get to the big game. But it is clearly also the outlier in terms of, hey, who tends to get to the Super Bowl? Usually not those guys.
Right.
Yeah. I will say this, at least I understand some of the weariness as it pertains to the Chiefs. The Eagles, I don't think, unless, you're someone like you who's a Cowboys fan or, your Commanders fans, your other NFC East fans, the Eagles, I don't think are as dislikable in general. I don't particularly care for their head coach. He's a butt.
Either way, we win because Philadelphia will burn the town down, whether they win or lose. So
true. Thank you, Philly, for being you. Where I was going with this is I've enjoyed the fact that for the last era, Super Bowl games have been a lot of fun to watch in terms of they're competitive. Close. There was the one Super Bowl between the Broncos and the Seahawks that got out of hand from the get-go. But that used to happen. Those kind of outcomes used to happen on at least every other year basis when I was growing up. It was every other year you'd get a good game, and then the year after that you would get someone just slaughtering the other team.
Yeah.
And at least it's been compelling in terms of, hey, it's close enough where anybody could realistically come out on top. So I will say, there you go. There's a positive for you, but
there's none.
Don't watch it.
We're rooting for an Astro. Although I know New Orleans has been through enough lately.
True.
So
yeah, we don't want that for New Orleans or any city's sake, really. Well, regardless of teams that may or may not be playing in a certain football game and the level of enthusiasm that someone may or may not have for that certain football game,
negative 100.
We are here and super enthusiastic to pod. The topics that we will run through today, we have a Fantastic Four trailer to discuss and recap. That's exciting. We have Captain America Brave New World barreling around the bend coming out here in just a mere 5 days' time. We have an opportunity to kind of pull back from the present into the past and say, from a 10,000-foot view, what stories and character arcs have just been left unresolved up to this point by our dear sweet friends at Marvel. It turns out there's more than a couple to point out and discuss. And then, of course, we'll tie things off with another classic, JP and the Beans Top 5. So very excited to discuss with you, Beans, the slew of topics on our agenda for today. Real quick, because there's not a lot of news to recap. For those of you that thought, hey, I have the talents of a thespian in me. Well, guess what? It turns out that Marvel is actively looking to hire the next round of X-Men for the coming X-Men reboot sometime in the next, couple of years, several years, who's to say, in the near future. Throw your resume in the ring, folks. Just pick your X-Man and toss it in. Personally, I'm going for Beast. How about you, Beans?
Yeah, no, I think I should throw it in there. I gotta go off of what hasn't been already done, because
wow.
Yeah, well, I'm talking probably Nightcrawler's in there. Although I don't want to do I'd have to be CGI for me. I'm not doing the makeup for that.
You don't want to do the motion capture business?
No, that's what we'd have to do. I'm not doing
right.
I'm not getting blue every day for 8 hours. No. So that's probably out. Let's see.
For those of you that have watched Arrested Development, you're thinking right there's a Tobias Bluth quote where he says, I blew myself.
Yeah. And no, thank you.
That's right.
No.
You're avoiding that.
Thank
Good.
You.
Good.
Maybe Angel. I don't know if I'm good looking enough for Angel. That's going to be like right up there, right?
It's a character that just hasn't been done appropriately yet, is it?
No.
Yeah, twice and not once right.
And then I'm like, maybe Jamie Madrox, the multiple man. That I could maybe do,
Sure. Yes.
See, that's where it gets into it a little bit, because I'm like, I don't know. All the other cool ones are kind of, I can't be a Juggernaut. I'm not.
You can.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, I just gotta.
That's a very limited niche of folks. Yeah.
So it's got to be something like that. I feel like.
Yep.
Morph, maybe. Other than that, I got nothing.
Okay.
So.
That's all right. I'd like to see Banshee brought back.
Banshee would be cool.
I thought he was phenomenal in First Class.
I'm not a ginger.
He was a one movie and done guy. That was tough.
Havoc would be all right.
Yes.
I would be okay with that. Mm-hmm. Scott's kind of too bland for me. So if I'm going to be a Summer,
no one wants to
I'd rather be Alex.
No one wants to be Scott Summers.
No, they've done him dirty.
Yeah,
they've done him dirty in the comics,
Poor
and
James
it's just
Marsden.
like,
boy, they have. He's been turned into a straight turd in the comics.
So yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got to find that, you got to have that range of a witty banter yet.
Yep.
Not too tall. So you know what I mean.
I get that. Well, they've managed to make Tom Cruise look average in terms of height for decades. So
well, he's also 5'4". I'm 5'10", which is above average height.
That's what I'm saying. I don't shortchange yourself on the height.
And I will get jacked for the movie. I promise.
There you go.
Just give me a little roids, but we'll do
Absolutely.
it.
Oh,
sacrifices will be made.
Listen, if it came time to get jacked for a movie, 100%, the supplements are getting juiced pretty quick.
Gambit would be cool too. I just don't think I could pull off Gambit very well. Gambit feels like very
dream big,
special.
Dream big. Yeah. Keep dreaming. We just need a little beefquake. So, Dylan, friend of the pod, get yourself and your original character in there.
Yeah.
Let's
Australian accent.
He's got to.
Oh yeah.
He's got to. You can't be called Beefquake with an American accent.
No. I'm guessing he eats steaks, and the steaks fuel him to be able to produce earthquakes.
0 vegetables.
Via farts.
0 vegetables.
Earthquake farts. That's what I would want.
That is what eating
personally
would do to a person.
So it's fitting.
Absolutely.
And then you just see him out there in the middle of the battlefield, chowing steaks down, and then just letting farts rip.
It's constantly got a bag of jerky in his pocket.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt.
Because it fuels it. I think I sold myself on it, to be honest. This is great.
It's a character that I actually want to be now. Dang it, Dylan. All right. Well, that little public service announcement to the side, let's get into the pun intended meat of the pod. Fantastic Four First Steps movie is coming out later this summer. We're very excited and anticipating it highly, and it dropped for us its very first teaser trailer. I thought the timing of the trailer was
odd,
appropriate and odd. Appropriate in that, hey, we're far enough out that we should be starting to see some promotional material. Odd in that, historically, superhero movies have really leaned into that Super Bowl spot for their first trailers. And I won't be surprised if we see the Fantastic Four trailer during the Super Bowl for those of us watching sometime later this afternoon/evening. But the fact that they didn't hold it for a Super Bowl reveal was not what I would have expected.
Maybe they knew that most people didn't want to watch this football game. So they're like, hey,
we got to get ahead of it.
We're going to just release it early. And then we'll play it again for the Super Bowl people. But they've been through enough this season, this football season.
Sure.
That's what I like to think.
Entirely possible. For those of you that have, or even if you haven't seen the trailer, by way of quick recap, we got to see the primary characters of the film. In other words, the actual Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm. Now we saw the back of Galactus's head, but we know that our guy Ralph Ineson, we're not really going to see much of Ralph. It's a heavily CGI character. So the flesh and blood characters that we got to see were exactly who you'd expect. The only other little tease that got thrown in there was John Malkovich with long curly hair, which really, why has he been a shaved bald head guy his entire life? I saw that look, like, John, you've missed your calling, man. This is exactly what you should have looked like forever. But I digress. We still don't know officially who John Malkovich is playing in the film. But the quick rundown of the cast, notwithstanding, means what stood out to you from this first footage that we were able to see?
But really, from this, it makes it feel like Invisible Woman's going to be the main character of the movie. I don't know if that is where you got that up from,
No,
but
tell
like
me more though. I like that.
it just because it felt like it was her voice throughout the whole movie,
Right.
or throughout the whole trailer.
Yep.
So it just seems
Yep,
like,
no
oh,
question.
maybe she's going to be like the linchpin for the entire family, which is probably accurate. Okay, I haven't read a lot of Fantastic Four, but that would not surprise me if that was legitimately
Yep.
the case there.
Yep.
So the Thing's voice, I am gonna have to get used to.
Mhm.
I just don't. That's not how I hear the Thing. I hear Michael Chiklis and something gruffier, and that's just that doesn't sound what this guy's voice is. So we'll see. I'm open minded.
Yep.
Pedro Pascal is going to be great. I feel like Johnny seems like he's going to be great. Galactus looks sick.
Mhm.
I am super excited for a legitimate Galactus that is not a storm
I
cloud.
was going to say that's not just a swirling cloud of anger.
It will be interesting because they're saying, oh, Reed's figuring out the multiverse right now, blah blah blah. I'll be interested to see if Galactus is an eater of worlds or an eater of multiverses.
Yep.
Nope, just worlds.
Yep.
But you know what I mean.
I think they'll
They
leave
could-
it to just worlds.
They could change it to fit.
It's comics, maybe.
Yeah, no, and the bald guy, he looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do. He seems like he's going to be very integral to all of that. So I'm hoping we get honestly more of Galactus's associates. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yep, the heralds.
Yes,
You
the
got it.
heralds.
Yep, not a word we hear commonly
Yes.
these days.
I want more than just female Silver Surfer.
Yep.
Like not Norn Rad. I would love Norn Rad personally over female Silver Surfer, but whatever. So I'm hoping we get more, like, I believe Terax is one of them.
Yep. Yep.
There's one that is like equivalent to the Human Torch. That's just a human ball of fire. So that would be kind of fun to watch him and Human Torch go back and forth.
Right.
Or she, I don't remember, to be quite honest with you.
Actually.
Oh, really? Look at that.
Yep.
Look at
Yep.
that. Yeah, that would be great. Instead of it just being them against Galactus, them against the Heralds, and then Galactus. I'm pumped. I think it'll be solid. I kind of want a little bit more because this is pretty vague, but again, it is a teaser trailer,
Yep.
so it's going to be vague. And
Yep.
I also really hope they don't spend too much time on the backstory because we all know what happens to Fantastic Four. I don't need to watch them get hit by space alien waves for a third time.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my thoughts. I'm pumped. I think it'll be good. The Thing looks great, by the way.
He does. Isn't that design incredible?
Right. So in the first the Michael Chiklis' thing
Yep.
looked good, but it was very much more practical.
Yep.
You had
It was Michael Chiklis covered in rocks.
yes, exactly.
Like it was very much him as the bald, shaved-headed dude, and there's just a rock layer on top of it.
and it was respectable.
Mhm.
It was good. It
was not a
worked.
bad take.
No.
No.
And then the second one was definitely leaning more into the rockiness of the Thing.
Yep.
This one seems like it's very comic accurate of a look.
That rocky eyebrow,
Yep.
unibrow, is straight out of Jack Kirby's sketch.
Correct. And maybe it's just me, but he didn't look as jacked as I would think. But maybe that's also because he's wearing a shirt.
Yep.
So hopefully he
Yep.
does not wear a shirt for most of it. Because that's where I'm at with that. So
No doubt.
I'm excited. I'm glad they're leaning into the futuristic side. It sounds like the Future Foundation probably won't be too far off from where they're at. Because did they say they had kids yet or not?
That has been left very open-ended. It has not been, and what I mean by that is it has neither been directly confirmed or directly denied. I'm leaning strongly towards they either do or by the end of this movie will
Right.
have a child, if not both Franklin and Valeria, their son and daughter respectively. Because there is, obviously it was not in the teaser trailer, but one of the Disney showcases, I want to say it was when they were out in Brazil months ago.
Yeah.
Some of the screening or test footage that they showed was Reed teaching the class that in the comics within the last 15 or so years that Jonathan Hickman actually birthed this idea of Reed and Sue, but mostly Reed teaching a bunch of kids essentially and kind of raising them up as the next generation of intelligent and intellectual super beings.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm indifferent if they have kids right away off
Sure.
the bat. I mean, it definitely would be a different take because they'd be more established at this point, which I kind of like. Again, like just keep it. It makes them different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. We'll see what this does in the grand scheme of things. If this is the 4 that they keep for the MCU moving forward too,
Right.
because apparently this is a different world, correct?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is certainly not the 616 universe. I mean, just some of the landscape shots that you have of the Baxter building in New York. There's the Chrysler building, which we all know what that looks like, but then you have 2 or 3 just entirely not of this world skyscrapers that are there.
Right.
And so it's obvious that they're setting it into a alternate universe.
It's nice. It's a fresh start.
It gives them a fresh start.
Yep.
And like you said, they're not going to mess around with the origin. Like there's going to be callbacks to it. We got that already in this teaser trailer. But as far as spending, a half hour, let's say, unwrapping we're meeting them before and now here they are during and after, we're not going to be spending a lot of time with that, which very similar to what we have experienced the last decade almost now with the Spider-Man Peter Parker character. It's like everyone that's going to go see that movie is familiar enough with the origins that you don't need to retread that ground. And so I'm glad that instead we get to spend that time elsewhere. I like your point about Sue being the focal point of the story. She certainly is in the comics the most stable out of the group. Right. I mean, Ben, for obvious reasons, has anger issues. And again, reasonable, understandable. He sticks out just a wee bit. And he's built to hit things. And so you can't do that as a passive person. You got to have a little edge to you. Johnny is volatile in more ways than one. And Reed, bless him, just isn't very reliable. Reed is a genius creative. And so he is often going off and isolating himself, not intentionally trying to avoid his family, but he gets so caught up and hyper-focused on the latest curiosity that it really comes back to Sue to be the stable one of the group so that the rest of them have a place to come back to and a person to come back to. And I said this from the beginning. I think Vanessa Kirby is a phenomenal casting choice.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I mean, this very brief trailer just affirmed the heck out of that for me because it's so easy to see her as Sue Storm. Like, there are plenty of people that could play a capable Reed Richards, and I think Pedro is going to do just fine. I'll get over the old thing. But he'll be great as Reed Richards. I think Joseph Quinn is going to do a great job as the Human Torch. He in Gladiator 2, it's the only other film I've seen him in, was really stinking good. So I'm like, all right, this guy, Johnny Storm, sure, I can see that. Our guy, Ebon Moss, I've seen him in a couple things, not in a big dose. I'm not bothered by the voice. I totally understand why others have been so far. I will say it's a bit of a unique choice that they haven't dressed up his voice at all. Like, it's truly just him. They haven't taken his voice and mixed it in any way to add, again, pun intended, any gravel to it. It's just straight up him. I think we'll get used to it as the movie goes on. I think it'll become less distracting as it's normal. But initially, I totally understand the level of distraction that it presents. The element of the Fantastic Four that I'm looking forward to is I do hope they bring kids into the element, not for the sake of it, like being a kid-driven, like Skeleton Crew type show,
right?
But because it brings so much more out of the Reed Richards character than is there otherwise. Like, it's very hard for Reed to not be another Tony Stark, or as we've seen him in the MCU, Stephen Strange. And so it humanizes Reed and grounds him in a very real way where he can't go out and isolate and go off Earth or off universe with such regularity or just, hey, I was just curious. He's got this kind of hitch in his gait, if you will, of, oh, wait, I've got to be a dad. And I think that actually enhances his character quite a bit. And you have Johnny and Ben as the fun uncles. And who doesn't want those two guys in your corner
Right.
as the Funkles? So everything from the design element of how the world, this alternative world looks, is tremendous. I appreciate the thoughtfulness that's clearly been put into it. There's obviously a very sincere level of care that's gone into the design and creation of this alternate world. My suspicion when it comes to John Malkovich's character, I wonder if he's not going to be Nathaniel Richards. So this is the father of Reed Richards.
That's what somebody suggested. I also saw he was like a Russian scientist as well, possibly.
Yep.
The red something.
Yeah, and it's always the red with the Russians.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Too on the nose.
Yeah, a little too on point. I could easily be wrong, of course, but Nathaniel's character in the comics is a multiversal, traversing character, and so it just seems too likely that he won't be part of the reason why this version of the Fantastic Four gets brought out of their universe and shoved eventually into the 616.
Right.
So, no, I was really encouraged overall. I thought it was telling that they showed every character's power set except for Reed. Like, we got to see Sue be invisible a little bit. We got to see Johnny flame on. We got to see, Ben Grimm be big and rocky and run a little bit. But we didn't see Reed do any stretchy work. Like, interesting.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, then we saw him drawing on a chalkboard, which is fine, but none of the stretchiness for our.
Yeah, I don't know why they're saving it.
I don't know either. I don't know what to really draw
Seems
from
like
it.
a weird
other than,
thing to say.
Oh, I know that was my thought as well. But what I'm hopeful for, big picture, okay, for this movie and for, because I think they've really crushed it from the casting point of view, and like you said with Galactus. He looked terrific. The little bit we got to see looked fantastic. Comic just ripped it right out of the comics. Perfect. I would really like to see this be a group that the MCU just revolves around in the coming years.
Yep.
Because the characters in and of themselves and the actors and actress that they've put in these characters to embody these characters, I think are going to be about as strong as it gets. And so lean into them. Let's see a lot of them. And they really do well. Like, they're a very natural, hey, we're partnering up with others. It's very rare that the Fantastic Four is just in their own realm. They're almost always teaming up with other individuals or groups. So there's such great opportunity.
Well, I think Spider-Man's a prime example
There's
of
no
that,
doubt.
right?
Yep.
I would love to see Tom Holland with Johnny Storm.
Mm.
I would love to see that. I would love to see him with Reed because I think their brains would like to bounce off each other.
No question.
And yeah, that group and Spider-Man are so important to each other alone. Yep. Like, I mean, he's the first person after everybody forgot who he was that he came back to and was like, "Hey, I'm Peter Parker," and like they're like all like, "We knew it." So,
yep.
Spider-Man's very important. It would be really cool to see Wolverine in there too if they ever did that storyline where it's those two, Hulk and Ghost Rider, is the new Fantastic Four, which is just more funny than anything.
Right.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. They are a pillar. They're one of the four main pillars in Marvel, and it's good to see them actually have something here. So, yeah. Yeah,
no doubt. And real quick side note, so you mentioned Terex or Terrax as one of the heralds of Galactus. Nova is the fire-based herald of Galactus.
Not a Nova Corps.
Mind you, here's where it gets a little confusing, though. There's also Fire Lord, so Nova and Fire Lord. So there at times there are multiple fire-based heralds of Galactus.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
cool.
Does it make sense? It's comics. It's comics. So we didn't get any, that's one last note here. We did not get any tease of the version of Silver Surfer that we're seeing in this movie. So that is still to come. But again, when it's a teaser, you don't want too much to be revealed. And frankly, even when you get into the quote unquote main or primary trailer, you don't want too much to be given away. So good start, encouraging, fun to see the first trailer for First Steps. And I need to remind myself here of our release date, July 25th. 2025. So just a couple weeks after Superman comes out on July 11th. So great to see
Dang.
some hype building up for a couple what should be very, very fun flicks. All right. Moving on, let's do some predictions for the film that is right on our doorstep, Captain America, Brave New World. I just have to say, every time that I add this movie into our rundown, I always type out the original name of the movie, New World Order, and I go, wait, that's not right, is it? It's just like a hang up in my mind. It's like, oh, no, it's Brave New World, Brave New World. And then I start, for some reason, it sounds like Pocahontas-y. I don't know why.
I know. I wish it was stuck with New World Order. It feels a lot like Winter Soldier, you know? It's like the seriousness of it. And
Yes.
You kind of change the gravity for hope, honestly, which isn't a bad thing, but it's like, ooh, New World Order, somebody's coming in to take over the United States. Right. It sounds like, you know?
Right. They intentionally took some edge off here, which, okay. Well, the movie's coming out here in just a mere 5 days. We're very excited for it. So set your Valentine dates up to go see the movie. Listen, this is a deal breaker right here. If your date won't go with you to this movie, you're with the wrong person.
Amen.
So there you go. Pro tip for you.
That's a good way to weed her out. Although then again, maybe it's a good thing if she doesn't like the movie afterwards.
Interesting. Either way, you learn something, don't you? So
because we don't know if the movie's good or not.
Go to the movie. Real quick, we'll run through some of the main cast members by way of recall. We have Harrison Ford stepping in as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. And look at this, Liv Tyler circling back around. It's been since 2008 that we've seen Ms. Tyler in the MCU, but she's still there as Betty Ross. Betty. Back in the game. Good to have you, Betty. Of course, our dear sweet Anthony Mackie headlining things as Sam Wilson, the newly, freshly minted Captain America, fresh out of the Captain America and the Winter Soldier show, which... Yeah,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I know. Then they renamed it Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I've been mind wiped. That's what's happened here. Giancarlo Esposito will be present as Sidewinder, new character for the MCU, not new to the comics. Tim Blake Nelson, speaking of 2008 names. Hello, Samuel Stearns, a.k.a. The Leader. I'll tell you what, they haven't shown us anything of old Tim Blake.
Kind of like
heard a lot of his voice, but we haven't seen him from a marketing perspective. Hat tip to you, unless he's only in it for 30 seconds, and it's like, well, you didn't have to work that hard, I guess, to keep him from being in the film. But I digress. It'll be fascinating to see what The Leader has in store for us, since it's been just a little bit of time. Danny Ramirez is back as Joaquin Torres as who will be our new Falcon. We also got introduced to Joaquin during the aforementioned Winter Soldier, Falcon the Winter Soldier TV show several years ago. So good to have Danny around. He's last been seen flying with our boy Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick. So he likes to fly, and he's capable of it. He hasn't crashed yet. There's obviously other cast members that we could get into, but those are the primary headliners that we want to call out. All right, Beans, it's prediction time. Let's start with this critical topic. How much Red Hulk are we actually going to get?
Oh, I probably end of the movie.
Think so?
I'm thinking towards the end of the movie, yeah.
Okay.
They just end it with Red Hulk. So, well, maybe 3/4 of the movie, like the 75%
that's when he will be
mark.
Revealed. You're
that's
saying?
where he'll turn into the Red Hulk.
Okay.
And then Falcon will probably put him out. And by Falcon, I mean Captain America. Captain America will put him out.
Right.
And then he'll be taken off to a hospital or something. And then, then they'll go fight the real bad guy and call it a day.
Okay.
And then obviously we'll figure out more about the Red Hulk as that continues. But I would say we get a nice little 5-minute fight, 5 to 10 minute fight there, and like 3/4 of the way through.
Yep.
And everybody, it's gonna be like an oh shit moment, like oh crap, President's a Hulk, everybody bunker down. This could get crazy because he won't have control the first time around.
Oh gosh.
So my guess is they'll like reveal at the end of the movie like he actually does have control over it, which would be a nice little touch. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm at. I'm like, we'll probably get Red Hulk no more than 15 minutes total.
Well, as I was pondering this question for myself, I was thinking back to movies where we've seen our boy Bruce Banner and the OG Hulk. For Ragnarok, there was obviously a good chunk of Hulk time in there. Age of Ultron, we had plenty of Hulk. Heck, the first Avengers movie, there was a good amount of screen time for Hulk. Where we know that we got cheated was in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. And we won't go down that particular rabbit hole. But I think if we hit that 10 to 15 minute range, that's actually about the right amount. It doesn't sound like a lot saying 10 or 15 minutes, but I think if you were to actually sit there with a stopwatch and go, okay, Hulk's there. He's in this scene. Now Hulk's not there. I think it's about the quantity of time you'd get for any of those previous 3 movies. Because the tricky thing with any Hulk, as soon as you put him in, it's the strongest character in the room. It just is. Yep. And so you have to be really metered and intentional with, hey, how much you can unleash them. You certainly don't want to err on the side of too little, but too much, and there's only so many things that can get smashed. So I think if we hit that 15-ish minute range, that'd be a nice sweet spot. Where I'm a little nervous is there's been some kerfuffle about closer to the 5-minute mark, and that would be far too little, particularly for where expectations have been set with literally all of the marketing leaning real hard into, hey, there's a Hulk in this movie and it's red. You got to have more than 5 minutes of a shot here.
Yep.
So let's hope so. Any characters, in your opinion, going to meet their end here that we won't see again? Who's going to die? Anybody?
No, I don't see anybody really dying.
Betty's toast.
You think so?
She's toast.
See, I think killing her.
She's toast.
See, and I think killing her right now would just be dumb.
I don't disagree.
Because
I don't disagree.
I think you're missing on a lot of opportunity. I guess if you want Thunderbolt Ross to be have him give a tragic backstory, but if anything, I could see her turning into the Red Hulk.
Incredible.
Because
Red She-Hulk.
She does that though. That's her in the comics for a wee bit, and then she goes into this really scary, terrifying, amalgamation of a gamma creature that's not the Red She-Hulk. The Harpy, I think, or something like that. It's terrifying. Look that up. That was a Immortal Hulk. That run. Ugh, heebie-jeebies. Let's hope it's not that. I could see the Red She-Hulk.
Yep.
But again, I think it's too early to pull the trigger. I think they just reintroduce Betty. I think they just get her back in there, and maybe at the end of the movie they show her across from Bruce.
We're setting ourselves up for some more Betty in the future.
Maybe. Right. I think if you kill her here, I don't think it would hit very hard. Do you know what I mean? Bruce isn't present. Sure.
Do we get a little, here's where I'm going with this too, though. Do we get a little Mark Ruffalo action? Do we see our guy?
No.
Not at all?
I don't think so. Not until I can see it for an end credit scene. Him coming back. Mm-hmm. But I feel like here's the deal. If Mark Ruffalo is in this movie, I feel like we would have already known by now. The dude him and Holland are not allowed to go on these press conferences very much anymore. So I would be very shocked if he was in this movie because they did a really good job at making sure he kept quiet for the whole thing. Yep. So I don't think so. I think if anything, like I said, I think it'll be an end credit scene. I wouldn't be surprised if A-Bomb is in the end credit scene with Wong. Because for some reason we always get Wong, and I know Wong is with Abomination right now, or Abomination's with Wong. So that's
right.
That's where I'm at with it, kind of.
Yep.
So I got nothing. Maybe the government's now that the Red Hulk is the Red Hulk, maybe they're like, hey, let's make a Gamma squad. And then that we just do stuff for the military. I don't know.
My two, here's the deal. My two most likely on the good guy side to perish, is Betty Ross, all right, is right up there at 1A. But then 1B is actually Joaquin. I can see Joaquin meeting his end.
I don't think he will either.
He shouldn't. But something in me just goes, there's a chance that they just snuff him right out. And that just to hit Sam right in the crotch of his heart with a frozen sledgehammer.
See, you're thinking too hard. I think there's a very easy person that could just die and it would make sense. I think that'd be Isaiah Bradley.
Sure.
Old man.
Yeah.
Takes a bullet for Sam. That's how he goes out.
Yeah. No question. That's the layup.
That's
I'm
my
shooting- I'm
layup. That would be
shooting
my pick.
I'm shooting half quarters here for 500K. I'm trying to make the money at
I
time.
think Isaiah is the only one that dies if anybody dies,
Yep.
and he dies a hero because he's got to redeem himself for being the one that accidentally took a shot at the president because that dude was compromised.
You're always much better at predicting things than I am, so you are almost certainly more correct. I just like throwing out little grenades into the trenches, see what happens.
I love how both your picks, one is like a super non-factor and the other one it's like detrimental to like Captain America moving forward. And I'm like, let's pick a middle one.
Let's find something in the more reasonable realm here.
Isaiah is probably gonna be the one. Also, because if his grandson's in this, I would not be surprised if Patriot it gets teased for the Young Avengers as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah, MCU has continued to slowly but generally steadily build that Young Avengers cast. So as clunky and as winding as the road has been, they're getting some characters set up for us, aren't they?
I can't remember. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, did they imply that the kid had powers?
Oh, I don't remember that being a obvious part of his characters.
Well,
I don't think so.
It will be in this one.
Yeah.
I think they'll be like, oh, so you did get the super soldier serum from your grandpa. So here you go.
Yep, here's a suit. We're going to call you Patriot because we have to.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Eli Bradley.
Okay. How about our guy Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder? I feel like my concern for Giancarlo is that he's going to be the one that has been done the most dirty by all of the reshoots and the winnowing down. And this is a phenomenal actor, of course. He has the chops to play a compelling villain. I'm really worried that his character is going to have been reduced the most, and we're going to get to the end of the movie and go, "That's it."
I think he'll be okay because I read an article where one of the writers or the directors for this movie was talking about Giancarlo and Seth Rollins because they're like, Seth got cut, and they're like, we love Seth, but when we found out that we were able to get Giancarlo Esposito for this, we kind of dropped everything and directed it towards him.
Sure.
So I think he'll be phenomenal. And this, I wish he looked more like a snake. It's a weird thing for me to want, but at the same time, I kind of want it. So I guess we'll see what that looks like moving forward.
Well, and listen, who's to say that we don't get a little bit of the leader dropping some transformative serum on our guy, Giancarlo,
be sick.
And others.
Be sick?
I mean, that truly, I think that is the most likely curveball that we can forecast is the leader is going to be gamma-ing up multiple other characters in this movie.
Outside of just the Red Hulk.
Outside of just the Red Hulk. And actually what I see coming, and again, I'm not good at this, so this is going to be wrong. What I see coming is Red Hulk and Captain America partnering up a little bit at the end to take down the gammed up beings. That's what I'd like to see.
Nope, I think that's solid. That's a solid guess.
It's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Nice of you to say.
Oh, that's not a bad guess.
Thank you.
You're fine.
Once in a while.
You're fine. That's not a bad guess. That's a reasonable assumption.
Every so often
I
I pull something not crazy out of the old keister.
It depends on if they want to use the Red Hulk twice instead of once.
Yeah. Totally get that.
Which I kind of hope they do, that'd be great.
Now, here's another question for you on the prediction side, okay? How much Wakanda do we get? Because as you may recall from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right, there was some Wakanda influence, particularly on Bucky's behalf, right? But they're involved when it comes to their vibranium mound. Adamantium being what is now ahead of the movie been revealed as, that's what the giant celestial got turned into, which wild, by the way. Pretty sure it's just marble rock, but nope, somehow we went from living being to adamantium.
Whatever.
Comics.
Yep.
Comics. That is one of the most just comics things we've seen in the movies. It's got me curious, would Wakanda get involved here in this arms race over another medal. I don't think they will. I think it's very unlikely, but I wanted to get your perspective.
No, I don't think it would be Wakanda. With adamantium on the table, it's hard not to picture the mutants getting involved somehow in some way, shape, or form. Again, I don't know what that looks like. They didn't really build up the Russians too much. That would be kind of curious to see them try to get into this deal. Hydra's not really a factor. So I'm guessing the Serpent Society has been hired by somebody else to go after the adamantium.
Right.
Because America's going after the adamantium. To me, there's got to be at least one or two other countries that are trying to gun for this. Maybe it's Madripoor because of their ties with the X-Men. And and we also have the tie with Sharon Carter there with being in Madripoor. So that's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe she's the one who hired the Serpent Society. I just don't see it's not like it wouldn't be unheard of for them to come into this play. Because of their connections to the vibranium, but with Bucky kind of being out, it kind of takes that connection out a little bit. So,
which, by the way, what a bummer that is. I would love to find a way to tell you that Bucky's going to show up and be involved here. He's just not.
The fact that the Thunderbolts aren't involved in this is kind of odd if you think about it. Like, you almost wish that they were somehow involved in this because they would actually fit in really well. You know, because it could have just been Ross's like team that he made and be like, hey, here's my Avengers. And then Bucky walks through and then Cap's like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. Red Hulk Ross was like, hey, we're trying to rebuild the Avengers here. And I would love for you to be a part of that rebuild. And so maybe we get another tease at a new hero to get pulled in here. I don't know, but yeah. I got nothing outside of that. There's got to be another country or two though that comes into play. I just don't see it being Wakanda. I can see it being somebody else.
Yep. I'm really bummed because of how fun it has been to watch Bucky and Sam Wilson play off each other over the course of not just the TV show but the movies leading up to the show. Like the rapport or lack thereof that those two guys had with each other in Civil War was tremendous, was so enjoyable. And so I'm hungry for more of that particular partnership. I mean, obviously we're both integral at drawing more out of each other so that their characters were at such different places by the end of that show. It's just a real shame that, man, you really couldn't get Bucky involved at all here. That seems like a real miss that, hopefully in future installments will be resolved because those two dudes need to be together. They just do.
Yeah. Well, and who knows too, maybe the Red Hulk sets up the Thunderbolts after this movie. Maybe that's why they get together. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's like, you know what? I do need my Avengers, but we're not calling them the Avengers. We're calling them the Thunderbolts after myself because I am an egotistical person. So
humble. The most humble.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, we know as we wrap up this topic, we know the film is going to be relatively brief. One of the shorter MCU installments coming in at a little less than a couple of hours. Overall, my expectation at this point is this. I think we're going to watch the movie. It's going to wrap. And we're going to go, okay,
it's a movie.
That was a movie. And we saw it. I don't think it's going to be hot garbage, a la, Venom: The Last Dance. I don't think it's going to be spectacular or a new, wow, that was one of the best Marvel movies we've ever seen. I would guess it's going to end up very similar to when we went and saw the Marvels.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, all right, there were some really good elements there. It wasn't like incredible, but nor was it terrible. It just was there. And that's, in this case, good enough.
It feels like they're playing it safe on this one.
Oh my. Yep.
So hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah. Hopefully they take big swings and they hit hard and we go out of there watching a grand slam in a World Series instead of a little single in preseason.
Yeah.
So
right. I think for me, my biggest hope would be that when this movie ends, that I will be in a normal place with Sam Wilson as Captain America. Because when we watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, listen, I was accustomed to the comics where Bucky took on the Captain America mantle, and eventually Sam Wilson did after Bucky as well. Really about everybody's had a turn as Captain America. But I really enjoyed what Bucky becoming Captain America did for his character. And for Sam Wilson, I understand why they went that direction in the show. So now that they have given him the mantle, I just want to see him own it. And I'm excited most of all for that reason to see Sam as Captain America. I still think it makes sense. It's going to be solid. I just hope it's as good as it possibly could be for his own character's sake.
Agreed.
Yep, that's where I'm at. Anything else on Captain America Brave New World Beans?
No, we're good.
All right,
we're good.
Inspired by the fact that in Captain America Brave New World, we are getting a resolved storyline thanks to our dear sweet Tiamat, the now deceased Celestial. He had a very short life. He's got a little bit out of the earth and it got locked into place by Cersei and her Eternals compadres. That's right, the Eternals. This is a freaking Eternals reference from way back, November 5th of 2021, everyone. That's when that movie came out. Holy smokes. So we've been waiting for well over 3 years now for that particular thread of, hey, so is anybody going to acknowledge there's a giant thing sticking up out of the ocean that wasn't there before? It just took a little more than 3 years for us to acknowledge that. So how neat is that? In that light, I wanted to go back and discuss the so far unresolved character and story threads that Marvel has dropped on us in the last several years, because there's quite a few. Some of them I think can see an end in sight. Others, it's just still out there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So going a little bit further back, okay, there are several villains from Spider-Man Homecoming, which came out July 17th, 2017, that we have not heard a thing about since.
There's one more in there too that you don't.
Okay, hit me with it as soon as I read off these three. So we've got Vulture, who we obviously saw a lot of in the movie, then was put in prison, Mr. Adrian Toomes. Haven't heard a thing from since.
No, he went to Morbius. But he did, though. He went to Morbius.
I know.
Well, and Morbius is going to go fight Spider-Man. Although Morbius doesn't know who Spider-Man is. But he's still going to fight him anyways.
Exactly. We had a tease of Scorpion.
Yep.
And Prowler.
We also had Shocker in Homecoming for a wee bit.
Oh, that's right. He got squished a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's still, I don't think he died, did he? I don't think he died.
He did call himself the Shocker.
Yeah. I
have a memory of him getting squished.
Oh, maybe he did die.
Interesting.
I don't remember.
In either case, that's far too short-lived. So this is more of a kind of picking nits. Like the Vulture had his movie. Now, he should be a recurring villain. He shouldn't be a one and done, especially when you have our guy, excuse me. Good grief. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name of our boy that played the Vulture?
Michael Keaton?
Thank you. Good grief. I just had a huge brain freeze. Like, Michael Keaton. When we have Michael Keaton in the seat, we'd like more of Michael Keaton, please.
Yes.
Not less of Michael Keaton, even if I can't do the man the honor of remembering his freaking name off the top of the dome.
And they kind of implied that wouldn't be the last time either. You know, when he's in prison, he's like, and they're like, we heard you know who the Spider-Man is. And he's like, nope.
Yep. It's been over 7 years. Yeah. That's the wild thing. It's like, that's too long. That's too long. And, Aaron Davis is the Prowler. Now, we've had a little bit of our fill, perhaps, with not the multiverse, good grief, the Spider-Verse animated films.
Yep.
So we've had some Prowler in there, but even still, to tease him like that and not give us some out feels a little cheap.
Yeah, I feel like they're saving him for Miles.
Yeah.
Just to give Donald something there. But yeah, no, those are all great pulls.
Indeed. All right, jumping ahead a few years to the Eternals. Listen, there's at least 3 characters from two post-credit scenes from the Eternals, okay, that we haven't seen or heard hide nor hair of ever since, right? Eros.
Don't care.
A.k.a. Star Fox, played by Harry Styles.
Do not care.
And his boy Pip the Troll was involved. Listen, Harry Styles is a great entertainer, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. Am I emotionally attached? No. But to have such an intentional look, Star Fox is here. And then 3.5 years later, nothing. Nothing is more than a little bit awkward. What matters a bit more, so we got Star Fox. Then you have Dane Whitman, played by your boy Kit Harington.
As the Black Knight.
As the Black Knight. And then Blade, played by Mahershala Ali, who got the voice in there, didn't get to make the physical appearance. What the flip? I mean, we've talked about how silly it is that Blade's been done dirty, but just to put a freaking point on it, again, it's been 3.5 years and we're no closer to getting the Black Knight and Mahershala Ali as Blade partnered up together. That's a real shame.
Yep.
That's a real shame. Also, all of the surviving Eternals, Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos got kidnapped by Arishem.
Yeah, I remember none of this, so this is funny.
Yeah. And then Makari, Athena, and Druig are attempting to rescue them when Star Fox arrives.
Got nothing on that. Hilarious.
You have all these characters that you just spent an entire movie establishing, and we've had nothing since. Listen, I'm not here holding the torch for the Eternals as a great movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it was not terrible. It certainly doesn't deserve to have been just shuttled off to the side entirely, so we're not getting any of these characters probably ever again. That's wild. That's wild. So that's just a wee bit disappointing. Okay. Earlier in 2021, we had the WandaVision show, which introduced for us the White Vision character. Where the flip is White Vision?
Well, he's getting a show.
Okay. But we have
Vision Quest.
Right, Vision Quest. So there's at least some progress being made on that front where, hey, Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange explored more of Wanda's character. You have Agatha All Along that kind of continued the quote-unquote trilogy of shows, and evidently Vision Quest is coming. It's still, that's a long time. We're beyond the 4-year mark to have not heard, again, anything. And here's why we're going through this exercise. Marvel, the MCU used to be so good at teasing and then connecting these threads. There is such intentionality of, hey, we're going to show you an end credits scene, and that is going to directly lead into what's coming next. Or if it's not immediately next, one of the next things. And this is just a essentially list of receipts of where we haven't had this for years now. And that's a real shame. So continuing on, speaking of the WandaVision crew, where are Wanda and Vision's children from WandaVision and from the Multiverse of Madness? Now, Billy got firmed up in Agatha All Along, went back to Young Avengers, so he's set up. Tommy was teased in Agatha, but up to this point, still MIA. Still don't have a Tommy with us.
Vision Quest.
Vision Quest.
They'll come in Vision Quest.
Yep. But we don't even have a release date.
Nope.
For Vision Quest.
I'm guessing we'll hear about it after Wonder Man.
Great. Yeah, pretty wonderful. Pretty wonderful. Okay, this is something that's not unresolved, but I was reminded of it, and it just made me mad. Eddie Brock, Venom. He was in the MCU. We had an end credits scene after Venom Let There Be Carnage. That released on October 1st, 2021. We went, oh my gosh, look at that. They brought him in, everybody. Not 3 months later, December 17th, 2021, after Spider-Man No Way Home, guess what? Eddie's out. He's out.
So quick.
Dicks. That was so mean.
It was.
I was so disappointed by that. And I'm still disappointed by that. But just don't even give us the tease that he's in, only to just yank it right back away. That was awful.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was.
Yeah, I mean, the symbiote is in the MCU. That's what we have,
I guess.
And they probably won't do anything with
Not
it
gonna do anything
until
with it.
Secret Wars,
No,
which
unbelievable.
works, but also kind of stupid.
Very much so. Okay, how about the 10 Rings from Shang-Chi?
Okay,
And the 10 Rings, right? Good movie, by the way. Solid flick. Came out September 3rd of 2021. Again, it's good grief. It's 3.5 years. We haven't heard anything from our guy Shang-Chi or his 10 Rings, which were extraordinarily powered. What in the heck is going on?
Yeah,
Nothing. Actually,
I got
nothing.
nothing.
It's crazy. That's crazy. And again, that was a good movie with some good new characters. You can't do anything with that?
Nope.
That's incredible. Incredible. All right, Doctor Strange. Hey, Steven. That's right. He was about to hop into the dark dimension with Clea at the end of Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, back on May 6th of 2022.
We won't hear anything till Secret Wars.
Nothing again.
Nope. Nothing till Secret Wars.
Again. Holy buckets. And listen, Charlize Theron, great casting choice for
Yeah.
Clea. She's got range. She's fantastic. But you're not doing anything with that?
Nope.
Good night. All right. Well, maybe it gets better. Let's see. Hercules introduced to the MCU at the end of Thor, Love and Thunder, July 8th of 2022. Nothing.
Nope.
Nothing.
And somehow Zeus lived.
It's also right. The most preposterous of all things. He gets hit straight through the middle with his own freaking lightning bolt. He's okay. All right. Okay. We have detached entirely from any even comic relevant reality, but we're introducing Brett Goldstein as Hercules.
Yep.
We're telling Hercules, hey, go get that Thor guy. You guys are enemies now. We got nothing.
Nope.
Nothing again. Again, that was July 8th of 2022. Also, Thor, completely MIA.
He's with Gore's daughter.
Completely MIA.
He's fighting aliens now. Checking the galaxy.
Unacceptable.
That's where he's at.
All of New Asgard, nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing?
he doesn't care about New Asgard anymore. He's raising a daughter.
Valkyrie? I'm not saying he shouldn't be a dad. I'm saying we should have heard something from the friggin' God of Thunder. Unbelievable. All right. Okay, here we go. Sticking in the 2022 range with She-Hulk, which released August 18th of 2022. Where in the flip is Bruce Banner and what are he and the Hulk doing?
I didn't watch the show, so I don't know. He has a son.
We don't know either. Yeah, the show was kind enough to drop that in there, which, how? Because that's not been explored at all.
And his son's kind of lame compared to in the comics.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in the comics, Scar's a terrifying dude. And that Scar is just like, ugh, I'm with Dad.
Yeah.
And that hairline is atrocious.
So we have Doctor Strange, Thor, and Hulk. 3 of the foundational characters from the initial era of the MCU. 2 of those 3, Thor and Hulk, go even further back. And we haven't had squat on them for 3 years. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can't happen. Can't happen. All right, later in that year, November 11th, 2022, we were introduced to T'Challa Jr. in Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
We won't hear anything for that for a while. They gotta wait for him to grow up, dude.
I know.
He's too young.
I'm just bringing up, hey, this is unresolved as of right now.
He's a youth.
There's nothing he can do about it. It's fine. It also, in my opinion, has not aged well.
It also just wasn't necessary.
It was not necessary.
It was not necessary.
It was not. So I just, darn it. That's what I've got for that one. Rats.
That was good.
All right. Hey, 2023, maybe things get better. Spoiler, they do not. They get worse, as a matter of fact. The Council of Kangs. And, just Kang. And Ant-Man Quantumania, February of 2023.
Now, here's the craziest thing. Did you hear the rumor that they actually might be considering to bring Jonathan Majors back as Kang?
Listen, truly do it. Just go for it.
I'm dead serious. I saw that rumor the other day. I'm like, you know what?
That's a dirty rumor. There's no way it's true.
You should have never fired him in the first place.
No,
but again, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But it would be hilarious if they're like, so welcome back. So yeah.
They have not pivoted well at all when presented with the opportunity. Put it that way. They just haven't. They just haven't. You have fundamental, foundational characters. You have to recast the characters. You just do.
Agreed.
And then you just keep moving, and we're going to pivot right along with you.
Yes.
Unbelievable. unbelievable. And again, the Loki show around a Kang variant as the primary villain was sensational. Some of the best MCU stuff you will see. And they can't get the Prime Kang off the ground. Awesome. And then the pièce de résistance. Secret Invasion.
Here's the thing. I'm just gonna help. I'm gonna save you the time. Move on.
This is
Skip
the low
it.
point.
This is nothing.
This is
a
point.
nothing burger.
I'm not going to skip it because it makes me
none of it's going to get resolved. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're going to ignore it. It's going to get swept under the rug, and no one cares.
Exactly what they should. They should pretend like this doesn't exist. You want to know why? Here are the reasons. Nick Fury's wife is a Skrull. Spare me. That's hot garbage. Always has been, always will be. Fire everyone that had to do with saying, thumbs up, this is a good idea.
He should have never had a wife in the first place.
No, much less BT Dubs, she's a Skrull.
Yeah, there's no woman that's holding Nick Fury down. Absolutely not.
No. Gaia is a super Skrull, and then partnered up with Sonya Falsworth in the UK Secret Service. No.
No one cares.
No, that's ridiculous. The United States is at war with the Skrulls, according to President Ritson. Guess what? President Ritson ain't the president anymore. And also, what the flip are we doing? Like, get out of here. That's absolutely ridiculous. Also, how long was Agent Ross a Skrull? Because that was revealed right out of the gate of the show. Rhodey? How long was he a Skrull? We don't know. We don't know. And as you just said, you know what? Pretend this doesn't exist, because this was the nadir. This was the low point for how far off has the MCU gotten. Right here. This is where it all came to a freaking head. And this is why the only MCU movie we got in 2024 was Deadpool and Wolverine, because the MCU proper had completely lost its way. And our guys, Ryan and Hugh, are like, don't worry, we remember how to make a good superhero movie. And boy, did they. Frick. That was such a bad show and a waste of characters and a waste of original content. Finally, Monica Rambeau shows up in an alternate universe, meeting her mother as binary in Kelsey Grammer's version of Beast back in the Marvels, November 10th of 2020.
Secret Wars.
Maybe.
Probably. I have
that's what we're going to get. And that is the end of the reading of receipts for all of the unresolved character and story threads over the last several years. And here's the thing. It's entirely possible that there are more. I chose not to pick the nits of, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's like, we know that trilogy is concluded. We know that Star-Lord's going to, come back in at some point. So I'm not really concerned there. Most of these are characters and storylines that we don't have any sort of a known plan for at this point. And again, what was so special about that first decade of the MCU is it was clearly so cohesive and tied together of, hey, we just shared this little tease with you. That's what you're going to see in one of the next 1 or 2 movies. We are so far off. They have unraveled so many threads. They don't have a chance to tie all these off. The best they can do at this point, do a little damage control, select and prioritize the most critical characters, and just ignore everything that happened in Secret Invasion and in She-Hulk. And
you had more rage than me today.
I did. I was beefing today. Lean into, Shang-Chi deserves another movie at this point. That was a good movie. That's a good character. Let's get some more. It's been this long since we've seen Stephen Strange, since we've seen Bruce Banner, since we've seen Thor Odinson. Come on. Please get your poop together, please.
It's like Marvel was at a buffet and they grabbed too many things and then got full. Mm-hmm. And then now there's just a bunch of random food left on the plate that they just don't know what to do with. So that's why they got off the cruise and they went on a diet. And now they're eating right again, hopefully.
That was a phenomenal analogy.
Thank you.
Incredible. Well done. All right. Beans, it's time for another.
Yes, it is.
Classic JP and the Beans top 5. Fresh off of that JP Beefs for today's pod. We're going to give you our top 5 unresolved story or character threads that we want resolved. ASAP.
Top 5 MCU plot holes.
How about that? Beans, you go first.
My number 5, thank you to your list, because I was not thinking about it until today.
It was genuinely fun to research.
Well, good.
Genuinely.
I'm glad you had fun with it. You mentioned it a while ago. So I'm glad we were able to get it all out in the open.
Absolutely.
Because you needed it. It was clearly built up inside. My number 5 is Hercules.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen Ted Lasso. The guy who's playing Hercules, Brett.
Phenomenal.
Fantastic actor.
Yeah.
I love Brett. Yeah. He's funny. I think he could bring a lot of humor to that role as well. Not that you need it for Hercules. I'd like to see Hercules and Thor go at it. I would just like to have Hercules present in the MCU. That's great. I would also find it hilarious if he turned on Zeus and kicked Zeus's ass. So that would be funny. But it's just one of those great characters, great casting. It's like, if you're going to introduce him, why are you not doing anything with him?
Right.
Because clearly there was not an idea for Thor 5.
No.
There wasn't.
No.
You kind of were like, here is what we will do for Thor 5 if we decide to do it. But it's like, okay.
Pretty loose.
It's real loose.
Yep.
So where does he fall in here? And I don't see it right now. So that's my number 5.
Yep. My number 5 are the characters of the Eternals. Because, listen, it was a well enough made and well enough treated movie where it's like you can't just dump that on the garbage heap and say, okay, I guess we're just going to be done. Now, I'm not saying you have to bring every single one or all of them back. It's totally fine with me if you're going, listen, out of the 6 remaining Eternals that we've got, 3 to 4 of them aren't really interested in continuing with their characters. Okay, you know what? You can still bring a couple of them back because whether it's Kari, the deaf speedster, or Druig, who can control and manipulate others, there are some really compelling. I mean, Kingo was freaking hilarious. I would love to see more of our guy Kingo. Phastos was fascinating. Phastos the Fascinating. Interesting. But I'm just bummed that, hey, there's something to work with there. I would like to see more of those characters. Not even necessarily their primary story thread, let's say. Like, when it comes to the Celestials, I'm really less intrigued by that. That's where it gets too big and too broad and too like, oh, the whole multiverse is it. I'm more interested in the character-driven element of these characters who just went through a very significant progression in that movie and now have to come to terms with, hey, what comes next? There's some great things to explore there. So that's my number 5. My number 4, again, I'm sticking with the Eternals movie. Dane Whitman, pick up the Ebony Blade. Boy, wouldn't that be great?
That'd be sick.
Right? Team up with Moon Knight. Get Blade in there. I mean, there are some fun, intriguing, great power set characters that we have yet to see get their time to shine on the big screen. So for me, that's my number 4.
My number 4 is Scorpion. Because firstly, it's a Spider-Man villain that we have not seen yet. Which, props to the MCU. They were 3 for 3 on giving us, they're 2 for 3 on giving us villains that we haven't seen. Right. It worked really, really, really well for the third one. Okay. But the first 2, like, they gave us Mysterio. We hadn't had Mysterio yet. And
it was a great Mysterio.
And it was a great Mysterio. It worked perfect for that universe. And good changes to that character.
No doubt.
Again, Vulture, fantastic. We hadn't gotten a Vulture. They made the Vulture a badass. I want to see Scorpion. I would love to see J. Jonah Jameson invest in this guy and watch this dude turn into a freaking lunatic who's stuck in a scorpion costume. Now we can get away from the loose rubber costume and go for the more Spider-Man PlayStation look where it's robotics and all that stuff. That's awesome.
Much more fleshed out.
But geez, I want to see something that's spitting poison out left and right. Absolutely. I got Scorpion at 4.
I love that.
Number 3, I have Blade. Look, the fact that you can't figure Blade out is crazy to me. It will always be crazy. They did such a great job with the 3 blades. This should be a layup at this point. You have the foundation. You know the rated R movies work.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the layup.
Not hard.
That's my number 3.
No, not hard. Not complicated. I love that. My number 3 is Shang-Chi. They gave him such an outstanding character arc. There were some real goofy elements of that movie, okay, that I'm not necessarily saying, hey, let's keep leaning into that. But just that character of Shang-Chi, like if we're talking about, hey, what's that next generation of Avengers going to look like? Absolutely sign the guy up.
Yep.
He's in. He's totally worthwhile. He's a fleshed out character. There's more to explore. He's got the ability, with or without, by the way, the rings. He doesn't need them in order to be a force. Obviously, he gets powered up when he does get them and he has the opportunity to use them. But Shang-Chi deserves more time on the screen. His skill set is so much fun to watch. So for me, that is my number 3. Okay. So my number 2. It's great that we're getting a Red Hulk. That's fun. But a Red Hulk can't exist without a Green Hulk. Red Hulk is like a secondary Hulk, in my opinion. We need Bruce Banner. We need Bruce Banner as the Hulk much more frequently. We cannot be drifting back into the old, what I used to grow up with, which is a Hulk movie once in a great while, and it's not very good. The CGI isn't even that great. The story's particularly rough. Come on. Get the Hulk in here on a regular basis. That's my number 2.
My number 2, we talked about it already a little bit. Council of Kangs. I love Doctor Doom.
Yep.
Doom is great.
Yep.
And I love RDJ. But man, the what we could have gotten from Kang, I loved the idea that Kang, different versions of Kang would just show up in other movies.
Oh my gosh.
And because it's such a unique, different thing that we've never seen before.
Yep.
Just to watch them play out with that, I think he would have been a great adversary for the Fantastic Four.
No question.
Because of their history together and because Kang is relatively in the lineage of Reed Richards, from what I understand.
Correct.
So, again, there's another layup. Lawsuit aside and what all that was, I don't know what they...
Recast the character if you have to. That's fine.
I don't know why they didn't learn from the James Gunn thing.
It's fascinating.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's where I'm at with that. The concept was there. Everything was there. He Who Remains was fantastic.
Laid the foundation.
And they just butchered it.
Yep.
So that was my number 2. My number 1, my boy, Kit Harington, Black Knight.
Yep.
You touched on all of it. It's great. If you look at the renaissance that Moon Knight's getting in the comics to where he's just becoming more and more frequent because people are actually in love with his character, Black Knight can do the same thing.
There's no question.
Okay? The fact that this man is doing everything in his power to make the right decision when the weapon that he's choosing is trying to make him pick the wrong one. You know how compelling that is of a story? This man is having to...
Endless conflict.
Yes.
Endless interpersonal conflict.
He's battling himself every time he picks up the sword. We don't have a character like that, period.
Right.
And to see like a old-fashioned knight running out there is just hilarious to me. But why not? Yep. This is just, again, layups, man. And you have the perfect actor for it with Kit Harington.
Yep.
I just want to see him again. For the love of God, give me the Black Knight. That is my number 1 choice every day of the week.
No, there is no doubt. I love that as a number 1. My number 1 is the Council of Kangs. And we've hit on it ad nauseum. But you can't just put a period at the end of this character's storyline. You can't. Like, you have built up well the foundation for this character. If the dude that's playing the character is truly that toxic to your ability to include the character, recast him. The person playing the character doesn't have the rights to the character you do as the studio. And you know what? There's a lot of capable individuals that could play that character very well. None of us knew of Jonathan Majors before he had this role. Almost none of us, okay? So if that's true, then you can find another person that almost none of us have heard of before, and it's going to turn out that there are a lot of talented individuals out there that are more than capable of taking that mantle and running with it. And guess what? None of us are related to Mr. Major, so we're not going to boycott the movie because John's not in it. We just want to see the character portrayed well. Please don't be such just wimps. Recast the role and keep going with this character.
Hey, no one was boycotting it if he was going to be in it.
Exactly.
No one's boycotting that movie.
This is a problem that's not actually a problem. You've self-inflicted this wound. Get it right. Recast the character, and let's keep going with this storyline. Because it is so worthwhile. We have a decade's worth, at least, of phenomenal adversaries. And now they've just wasted it. So, real shame.
It is a shame.
Yep.
Could have been real cool.
Yep.
But, oh well. There we are. I think that's it. I think that's a wrap. That's our top 5.
We did it.
Look at that.
We really did it. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone, to those of you that will or won't watch.
If you're rooting for either one of those teams, genuinely, have a terrible day. I hope your day is miserable. So,
powerful stuff.
On that note, Godspeed.
Peace.